All right, good evening, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us tonight at the Residence Move-In webinar. Welcome. My name is Darina. I use she, her pronouns, and I am the Transition and Engagement Student Lead at the Student Experience Office at Queens this summer. I am going into my fifth year of the concurrent education program, and I will be your host for this webinar. Please note that this webinar is being recorded and will be available for viewing on the Student Experience Office's YouTube channel within the next few business days. Next slide, please. So before we begin, I'd like to take a moment to acknowledge the history of the land on which Queen's University is located. As Canadians, we have a collective responsibility to recognize the injustices committed against Indigenous peoples who have lived on and cared for this land long before the arrival of European settlers. Queen's campus, which is where I am joining you from today, and which you can see in the picture here, is situated on the traditional territory of the Anishinaabe and Haudenosaunee peoples. The Kingston area, originally known as Cataraqui, has been home to Indigenous communities for thousands of years and remains a place of significance and ongoing relationship for many Indigenous peoples today. As a student, I am grateful for the opportunity to live, work, and study as an uninvited guest on this territory. It's important to understand that Queen's, like many institutions in Canada, was established through colonial systems that displaced Indigenous communities. As a settler and as a guest, I carry a responsibility to reflect on that history and to contribute to a more just, inclusive, and respectful future. If this information is new to you, or if you'd like to learn more about it, I encourage you to explore the resources offered by the Office of Indigenous Initiatives and the Four Directions Student Indigenous Center, both online and on campus here at Queen's. Thank you for taking a moment to reflect with me. And now I'm going to pass it on to our main speaker for today, Parm, who coordinates residents move-in on campus. Welcome, Parm.
Great. Thanks, Trina. Welcome, folks. Like Trina said, my name is Parm. I am the Director for Residence Life and Services. And tonight we are hoping to talk a little bit about your move-in experience. We've got an agenda for our evening together. And so over the next hour, I hope to cover a little bit about packing for residents, preparing your computer for internet services, finding your building's information, driving and parking instructions, as well as what to expect during the move-in day that you select. I'll also talk a little bit about our dining services and offer that day, as well as some other services on campus, and then we'll open it up for some Q&A. We have a number of staff on this call that are here to help support some of the back-end questions. So if you have a question throughout the webinar, feel free to drop it in the chat, and one of those staff will try to answer it, or if we feel that we should address it at the end of the Q&A, we'll do that together. Before moving in, one of the key things folks need to do, there's a number of tasks that we have for folks, and a couple of those are submitting your student card photo. So if you haven't done so already, please make sure you do that. It's the thing that we need to be able to identify you, to make sure we know who you are. It's your bus pass, it's a number of things, and so we can't get that started without your student card photo. You also need to accept your residence contract. So part of living in residence is living by a certain set of community standards, and we want you to have a good understanding of what meaning living in residence means for you. And so make sure that you have a chance to review that document and sign that before you're able to move in. We'll validate that both these things are done before we issue keys to anyone who's checking in. And once all of that is done, you'll select your move-in time slot based on what your preference is and what's available at the time. We understand that some of you folks might have experienced or may be experiencing delays in signing your residence contract or selecting your move-in due to high volume of traffic on our servers. We are working to resolve those issues, and they have mostly smoothed out, but there are some students that might experience some issues, so feel free to give us a call, or if you need some additional support, send us an email. Two other tasks that you're required to do before checking in is your residence pre-arrival module. And so we sent this out in our newsletter a couple of weeks ago, and this module takes you through what living in residence really is like. And so through that module, you'll have a better understanding of what your first couple of days and weeks look like in residence, as well as the expectations that we have for you. You'll start getting reminders from us if you haven't completed that, so I encourage you to do that as soon as possible. Next, completing the It Takes All of Us module. This module reviews sexual violence, sexual consent, bystander intervention, and support for survivors, and it's co-developed at Queen's. We understand that that topic can be difficult for folks, so there is an ability to get an exemption from that through our Human Rights and Equity Office, but you'll need to reach out to do that. So, once you've done all of these things, you'll be ready to move in. And so I want to go over selecting your move-in time slot. And so many of you have already done this, but if you haven't, to be eligible to select a move-in time slot, you would have had to have submitted your photo and have your residence contract read and accepted. The time slots that are available for folks to select from are Friday, August 29th, between 5 and 7:30. There is a fee that applies for this for the food and having your room prepped early. Those fees can be found on our residence move-in website about what those rates are. They're dependent on your building type. And then we have four distinct time slots on Saturday that are available from 8 to 2 p.m. And they are about 2 hour window of time where you can arrive in. Once you have a move-in time identified, you'll click save and you'll be able to save your reservation. If at any point between now and towards the last week of August, if something changes, you are able to change your move-in time slot. So if you're moving in on Friday, you're able to change your time slot up until August 25th. If you are moving in on Saturday, you're able to change your time slot all the way up until August 29th. So you are probably in the midst of packing for residence right now, and so want to take some time to talk a little bit about what to bring. And so, in your room, we provide each student with a bed, a desk, a bookshelf, a desk chair, a dresser, and a mirror, and a bulletin board. And you can see what each of those rooms look like on our website. So if you haven't taken a look, take a look at some of those. They are just representations of a common setup. They're not of every individual room. And so our rooms do vary depending on when the building was built, but it gives you a good idea of what we provide in the room. What to bring? Make sure you bring bedding and pillows. If you would like, there is a campus linen provider, so Campus Linens, that can have bedding sent to Queens if that's something that you're not able to bring with you because you're traveling from afar or would like that there. That will be available for you to pick up on move-in day. You also might want to bring a small fridge. That's something to help keep, um, you know, some food fresh, some drinks, water, what have you. We also work with a company called Coldex that offers fridge rental, so that if that's another thing you don't want to pack and want someone else to bring to your room, that's also available for folks to do that for a rental. You also you may need to bring an Ethernet cable and a wireless router depending on the building. And so please make sure you take a look at your building for what you would need for that. We'll have IT support that's available at a number of locations to provide some of that router support if you've never set up a wireless router before. Or an Ethernet cable. There is an Ethernet jack that's provided in each bedroom that we test throughout the summer, and you might need a dongle to be able to attach that to your laptop. We encourage folks to bring a move-in trolley. We'll have some move-in carts available as folks move in, but depending on the volume, you might want to bring one for yourself. You might want to consider bringing a mattress topper. Mattresses can be a personal preference, whether they're too hard or too soft, and so often a mattress topper is something we recommend. Bringing hangers, desk lamp, storage boxes, dishware. There's a number of things to consider, and so there are some packing lists on our website if you would like some help and support. Things to leave at home. So when you are packing for Queens, we ask that you not bring a couple of items. So keep in mind that there are things that are supplied in your room and they must stay in your room. And so if you bring extra furniture, so say if you bring your own desk chair, you will have to store the desk chair that we provided in the room because we don't have the ability to take things out. Please don't bring any alcohol or other substances, so cannabis, illegal drugs. Orientation week is a substance-free week, and so if our staff see you bringing that in, we'll ask you to return it to your car or dispose of it. No alcohol or substances are allowed in our residence, even for folks that are of age or 19 plus during orientation week. And after orientation week, alcohol is only permitted for those who are of legal drinking age at 19 plus. We often get asked about small appliances and what you can bring or not to bring. And so, as we mentioned, the common rooms do have small little kitchenettes for folks to be able to prepare food. And so you aren't permitted to bring toaster ovens, microwaves, rice cookers, or any cooking appliances to your room or hot plates. And residences are high density living environments. And so the use of some of these items like kettles or toaster ovens or things put a lot of strain on those systems, and we aren't always able to meet that electrical demand. And so we want to make sure that you're able to enjoy residence thoughtfully, and so encourage you not to bring those items. Additionally, with weapons and other pieces, those are also prohibited. And so if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to us. The residence contract does outline a number of items that are prohibited. And so please make sure you take a look at what you can and cannot bring. Okay. The next thing you might be thinking about is preparing your computer. And so for all computers, for PCs in particular, make sure that you've updated all critical updates from Windows and that you're using the latest software available for your computer. You want to make sure that you have current antivirus software to prevent any malware from getting onto your devices, and that your NetID is activated and you don't forget your password. You would need to use your NetID to do a number of things, but if you've locked your account or need additional support, reaching out to ITS so those folks are able to help you out. As I've mentioned, wireless access is or is not depending on your building. And so in Brant Smith, the JDEC residence, and Ndiantugunut today, we have wireless access points in each room and common spaces. All other residences use a wired internet connection. And so you folks will need to bring an Ethernet cable or a router to be able to access the internet in those spaces. If you are looking for some support, visit our website for more information about router setup and instructions. But we will have some staff on site to be able to assist you in some of our common spaces to be able to support your router setup if you're experiencing any issues. Okay, so you've packed for residence, you're getting ready to come. And so arriving to campus, we have done a number of things to make sure that your arrival to campus is as smooth as possible. And so we work with the City of Kingston, Kingston Police, a traffic management company, and a number of other campus and community partners to make sure that your arrival is smooth. And so in the week of August 26th, you'll receive an individualized email with instructions about how to get to residence. This email will also include your student number, your building, your room number, and all sort of the key information that you need to know to be able to get here. We'll also ask you to print a zone card. And so each of our buildings is designated into an individual colored zone for move-in. And this is helpful for us to make sure that we're able to very easily tell if you're in the right place to move in. And each of those zone cards will provide you an individualized map to get there. We really discourage you to not use Google Maps or Waze or Apple Maps to make sure that you are following the relevant instructions. Please don't use those. Use them to get to Kingston, but once you're in Kingston, follow our individual directions to make sure you're getting to the right place at the right time. And so you might be wondering what a zone card looks like. And so I've included a few photos of some of the zone cards here in particular. And you'll see on each of your zone cards, you'll have individual directions, not only to where your key pickup location is, but also to where your parking is. And so that looks different for each of the buildings. And so please make sure that you print this off and have this visible on your dash in color. There's also a space to write your phone number. That's a really helpful thing for us to be able to get in touch with you if your car needs to get moved or there is another concern that comes up. We're able to easily find you of who that vehicle belongs to. Okay. So, while the vast majority of students will move in on Saturday, some of you folks are looking to move in on Friday night. And so, if you are moving in on Friday night, you'll be doing your key pickup at Richardson Stadium starting at 5 p.m. We won't be able to give any keys earlier than 5 p.m. And so, please make sure that you plan your travel accordingly. Even if you come early, we won't be ready to be able to set up. We have a number of volunteers, a number of traffic measures that we need to take, carts, doors to open, and so we won't be able to issue any keys until 5 o'clock. Once you pick up your keys from Richardson Stadium, you'll proceed to your building's unloading area where you'll quickly unload your vehicle and drop off your stuff, and then you'll move to short-term parking. On Friday night, we have around 600 spots available, and so there are just a limited number of volunteers to help where to unload your vehicle. And so we really do encourage you to make sure that you are ready to help unload and unpack your car. We'll have some staff to be able to help you out, but I want to be, manage your expectations about how many volunteers that are available. If you are moving in Friday night, we will have meal options that are available for you folks up until 11 p.m. And so the Leonard Dining Hall will be open until 7 p.m. And then Location 21, which is one of our retail locations located in Smith House, as well as the Jean Royce Hall Barista, will be open until 11 p.m. And so we will have food options for folks that arrive, and your meal plan will become activated upon check-in. If you're moving in on Saturday, the map's a little bit more complicated. We work with the City of Kingston and Kingston Police this day to reroute a number of streets. So a number of streets change from to one-way streets. Some roads are closed, and we really do try to manage traffic in through the core. And so we have about 3,800 students moving into residence that day. There are various check-in locations for your keys. So many of you will receive your keys first at Richardson Stadium. And so if you are moving into one of the residences in the red zone, so Banbury Hall, Victoria Hall, the green zone, Adelaide Hall, Chown, Leggett, and David C. Smith House, the yellow zone, Brant House, McNeil, Morris, Watts, or teal zone in Antigonish today, you'll be checking in at Richardson Stadium where you'll receive your keys first. And once a space becomes available in front of one of those residences, one of our staff will let you know to proceed to the unloading zone. If you're moving into any of the other buildings that I haven't named, you'll be moving in directly to those buildings, and there will be a small satellite desk to help check you in where you'll receive your keys in your building lobby. So please make sure you follow your individual directions to make sure you end up in the right spot to get your keys and to get to your building and your designated parking lots. When you are checking in, you'll follow those directions to make sure you're in the right spot. And please make sure you have that email that we send that's personalized to you ready. Your check-in email will have your name, your student number, your building, and your room number, as well as a barcode. This really makes it easy for our staff to identify the keys that they need to pull out and make sure that we get the correct keys to the correct person. We will check your government issued ID. And so that could be a passport, a driver's license, anything that's government issued, we will accept to be able to validate you are who you say you are. We will verify that your photo for your student card has been received and your contract has been signed before we issue keys. And so if that hasn't, we will ask you to step aside and complete those tasks before we're able to give you your keys. In your check-in package, you will receive your keys, a student card, given that you've submitted your photo on time, as well as a check-in package. In your check-in package, you'll receive a lanyard, as well as some information about our Good to Go Carabiner program. So you'll also receive your Good to Go Carabiner. Once you've checked in and gotten your keys, you'll proceed to move your items in. And so when you arrive at your building, follow the unloading instructions of our staff. And so a staff member or a volunteer will greet you outside of the building. They'll assist you as much as they can to unload your items. There'll be a few carts available, but they're in limited supply. And you should be able to unload your car within 5 minutes. This really does help us keep the flow of traffic going. And so once you unload, you will immediately move your car to the designated parking lot. A driver must stay with the vehicle at all times. That's because our vehicles are in fire, perhaps in a fire lane, or there is the need to move pretty quickly. And so please make sure a driver always stays with the vehicle, and once unloaded, that the vehicle is moved. If the vehicle isn't moved or it's left unattended, we will tow your car. And so that's not something that we want to do, but every year we have to move some cars. And so please make sure that you don't leave your vehicle unattended. Once you've dropped off your students' belongings, you want to make sure you move to parking. And so in that individual email, we'll also provide directions about how best to get to your parking lot. We'll also direct you based on your zone card to your individual parking lot. We have worked to make sure that there are enough parking spaces for everyone. And so please make sure you go to your correct lot. You'll receive a temporary parking pass in your unloading zone, so please make sure you don't leave without it. We want to make sure that we're able to identify your vehicle. And then parking is limited to a maximum of 3 hours. And so once you've parked and you need a couple of hours to set up the room, once you're done, we ask that you move your car within 3 hours. If you need longer term parking, we ask that you move your car to another area to be able to stay long term. We want to make sure that spaces are available throughout the day. When you're thinking about packing your items, I also want to encourage you folks to pack sustainably. So you might want to consider packing your items in a reusable tote or bins. They make for great storage under your bed and are helpful also when you're moving out. You also might want to consider unpacking some items. So you might be getting some new items ordered. And so thinking about removing them and packing them in with other things to make sure that they are as compact as possible. And when you are in the buildings, please make sure you follow the designated signage to bring any waste or recycling to the garbage and recycling rooms in each building so we're able to remove that from the buildings. Please don't leave the waste in the hallways. That really does congest up our hallways, but also doesn't help our custodial staff make sure our buildings stay clean. And I want to encourage folks to make sure that you are packing for what you need. The less you bring, the less packing you'll do at the end of the year, and also being mindful that you can purchase items once you're here in Kingston. And that you might want to consider bringing things while you're staying in residence. And so you might not need to bring all of your winter gear for the first couple of months, and you might want to bring that in when you go home for reading week or at a later time in the semester. So, want to sort of just give a high level review of the move-in process. And so you will proceed once you are coming to your key pickup location. Keys can be picked up at Richardson Stadium or within your building. And please make sure you take a look at that personalized email and zone card to make sure you end up in the right spot. An unloading team will greet your car and provide you a parking pass, and will make sure that they get your phone number and are able to point you to the right direction for parking. Volunteers will assist you in unloading if they are able, and start moving your belongings inside the building. And so please make sure that your items are labeled. Drivers are asked to stay with the car, and there's a maximum of 5 minutes for unloading. After the car is done, you'll take your car to the designated parking lot. Cars cannot be left unattended or they will be towed. If you are moving into a building directly, you'll enter the building to collect your keys or just be carrying your things inside if you've already picked up your keys at the stadium. And then you'll start setting up your room and bringing any garbage and recycling to the designated areas in your building. Okay. Move-in day is a busy day, and so we appreciate your patience, but it's also a really exciting day. And so we know that there are a number of folks coming to campus, and so with the high volume of cars, we appreciate your patience as we work through getting everyone in to residence. The best way to handle sort of the traffic conditions is to follow the designated route that's been designated for your zone. These routes have been carefully selected with the City of Kingston and with Kingston Police to make sure that you folks are able to get to the right spot as quickly as possible. And please refrain from using other traffic applications, so Google Maps, Apple Maps, Waze, because you won't be in the right spot. Once you're here, we want to ask folks, to be considerate of bringing your cart, bring some snacks, all the things that you sort of need for the day. And then bringing if you are moving in, so please consider one car per student. We really want to make sure that we're able to get everyone through as possible. We understand that some folks have a lot of stuff, but we really want to make sure that folks are able to get through the process. And we discourage folks from bringing trailers, U-Haul vans, those larger vehicles, as there's a lot of stuff that's already in your residence room. And it is a long day. And there's not, our residences are pet free for the most part, unless they're a service animal or in our pet friendly community. And so please don't bring your family pet. There's not a lot of space for them to come into our buildings during that time. There's students who have allergies and other things. And so we ask that folks keep their pet at home. Okay. We talked a lot about move-in, and so I want to talk a little bit about services. And so your meal plan becomes active the evening that you move in. And so you'll have the opportunity to access all of our dining spaces through your meal plan. And so for the fall semester, or sorry, for your semester, your meal plan includes 19 dining hall meals that reset every week. And those meals don't carry forward. And so that's something to be considerate of. And then there is a part of your meal plan that's called a trade a meal program, and that's used in our retail locations that come off the weekly 19. And if you have questions about the meal plan, the Queen's Food site has all of the information you're probably looking for. Our front desk services, across our buildings, we have 3 front desks and 1 parcel depot. And so the locations of those are noted here. The hours are available on our website as they change. The Victoria Hall front desk is open 24/7, and the Jean Royce Hall front desk is open daily until 3 a.m. And resumes service at 8 a.m. The Watts Hall Mail Depot is open daily Monday to Friday from 11 to 7 p.m. each day. And the Andean today front desk is open daily, and their hours are posted on our website, and they are typically from 12 to 12 p.m. Mail services. So for folks that are looking to send mail, the Watts Hall Parcel Depot opens on Sunday, August 31st. And so if you are looking to send items in advance of move-in, we aren't able to accept them right away. We only accept mail for students that live with us. And so we won't accept mail until folks have moved in. And it's open daily from 11 to 7 p.m. For any student that lives on main campus, your mail will go to the Watts Hall Mail Depot, and so your mailing address is on the screen in front of you. And so please make sure if you are ordering things that you put your name and your student number clearly on your parcels or any mail that's being sent. For any students that live on West Campus, your mail will come directly to Jean Royce Hall, and so the address is listed there. And so please make sure that you have your student number there, and that our processing times can vary throughout the year as we experience ups and downs in volume. And it's typically between 24 to 48 hours for us to process things. And so if there are time sensitive packages like medicine, encourage you to work with a pharmacy that's close by or other locations to get the mail that you need. Once you receive a parcel here, we will process it, and then we will send you an email once it's ready for pickup. We also send folks text messages, and so if you would like that, please make sure you update your preferred contact information on your student dining portal so we're able to access and send you text messages if you want when your mail is here. Okay. want to talk a little bit about the Kingston Transit Plan. And so you were provided with a transit pass, which was included in your tuition fees. And so it will be on your student card. And so you'll be able to tap on to Kingston Transit throughout the year. And so if you're looking to understand where you're able to get through Kingston Transit, there is a transit planner app to be able to find where you're able to go. If you are on move-in day looking to get some items, I encourage you to use transit to get to where you need to go and get the supplies that you need. If you're living at Jean Royce Hall, we will have a rep from Transit, from City of Kingston Transit there on move-in day. If you've got questions about what the best routes to take are, how you're able to get to and from where you need to be. Okay. And then if you are a parent and supporter looking for some information about how best to stay in touch with us, there's a QR code on your screen to subscribe to our monthly residence newsletter, the Residence Connection. And this is a really helpful way for you to stay informed about what is going on in your student's life. And so encourage you to scan the QR code and sign up. We are looking to send our first issue shortly, and so that will be coming to a mailbox near you. And so please make sure, if you haven't already, to subscribe to our newsletter. And so I'm just going to leave this on the screen for a few seconds if you haven't already signed up. If you miss scanning this, you are able to find this link on our website. Okay. With that being said, I'm going to turn it back over to Joanna to start our Q&A session. I see there have been some questions in the chat, but we'll turn it over and try to answer as many as we can.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Parm, for that lovely and informative presentation. And now the floor is yours, everyone, for the Q&A portion of this webinar. So if you haven't seen it yet, there's a Q&A button in the bottom right corner of your screen, and you can use that feature to send in questions. You can also mark yourself as anonymous if that makes you feel more comfortable. So please go right ahead and send in any questions that you might have about the residence move-in process. And we're going to go through and answer as many as we can during the remaining time we have for this webinar. We also have some folks on the back end, so we might respond to your question just in a text form in the chat as well. All right, let's take a look here. So I'm seeing a lot of questions about meal plans. Parm, I'm going to read this one out for you. Someone wants to know, when is my meal plan activated, and is my meal plan on my student card?
Yeah, that's a great question. So your meal plan is your student card. And so please make sure that you keep that safe. That's the way that you'll be able to access our dining halls. You will need to submit a photo to have your student card ready for move-in day. And so we will hand those with your keys. And so you'll get that as part of your welcome package. And the dining halls will officially open for dinner on August 30th for your first floor dinner. And there will be some options available on August 29th for those who are moving in on Friday. So as I shared, the Leonard Dining Hall will be open, as well as Location 21 and the Jean Royce Hall Barista. That'll be open as well.
Thank you so much, Parm. And speaking of student cards, we have another question about the student card. Someone wants to know, is my student card also my key to my residence room?
That's a great question. We get that a lot. No, the short answer is no. Your student card isn't your key. You'll be provided with a key set that gives you access to your room. And so some of our buildings use a mechanical key, so you'll get some physical keys like a front door key. Others are electronic keys, which are key fobs. And so you will get one of the two. Sometimes you get both. And so some of our buildings do have some tap access points throughout. And so you might get a physical key and a key fob. So you'll need that key fob to get through the front doors, access other places like the gym, or other pieces in some of our buildings like the common rooms or lounges. And so you'll get those separately. Your student card is still an important piece. So like I said earlier, it is part of your meal plan, but it also gives you access to the athletics and recreation center. It is your transit pass, and so you'll need that to tap on to public transit in Kingston as well.
Thank you so much for that information about keys. And if I can offer one tip as a former first year student moving into residence, make sure you put those keys somewhere safe right away when you get them because things can get super hectic on that move-in day. And it's best to, know exactly where they are. But highly recommend that, putting them somewhere that you can access them whenever you need. Speaking of the keys, someone wants to know, where do I pick up my keys?
Yeah. One thing I will add on to your last point about a tip around keys, we do provide you a lanyard in your move-in kit, so make sure you put the keys right on that lanyard for a place to keep them safe. Speaking of where you can pick them up, it really will depend. On Friday night, all folks that are checking in will pick up their keys at Richardson Stadium after 5 o'clock and anytime up until 7:30. On Saturday, there are various locations, and so that individual email is really important to make sure you know where you're picking up your keys. If you're living in Banri, Victoria, Adelaide, Chown, Leggett, Smith, Brant, McNeil, Morris, Watts, or Antigonish today, you'll be coming to the stadium on Saturday to pick up those keys. The rest of the buildings, you'll be checking in your building lobby, and there'll be a front desk staff member there to issue your keys and check you in there once you arrive.
Amazing. Thank you so much for that response. And I'm seeing a lot of questions about mail as well. So I'm just going to read out this question. Where and how do I receive mail and parcels as a student in residence? And can I mail things in advance of my move-in day?
Yeah. I think, like I shared a few slides ago, and mail is something you can receive. Your mailing address is listed on our website, depending on if you're on main campus or on West Campus. They're a little different. So if you are living on main campus in any of our residences, all of the mail will go to the Watts Hall Parcel Depot. And so please make sure that your student number is something that's on your parcel for us to be able to identify you. If you're living on West Campus, all of your mail will be processed at the Jean Royce Hall front desk, and that's sort of the key spot for picking up your parcels. Daily, our mail depot is open from 11 to 7 p.m. to distribute parcels. And so we'll send you an email once your mail has been processed and ready for pickup. And so look for that individual email or that text message if you subscribe to our text message service. We really want to make sure we're processing your mail so we're able to properly track that you got the parcel that was delivered to you. And so the second part of that question was, can you mail things in advance? And so we don't recommend sending things in advance. Delivery dates can change, and we don't want you to miss things that are critical for your stay. As well as our mail depot doesn't open up until the Sunday, and so that would prevent some of those items that you might need from arriving on time. So if there are, we only process mail for current residents. So if there are things that you need, please make sure you bring them with you or you purchase them shortly thereafter of arriving to Queens.
Thank you so much, Carm, for that response about the mail. I'm also seeing a lot of questions about whether this webinar is being recorded and where it will be posted. So I'm going to go ahead and answer that one. Yes, this webinar is being recorded and it will be posted on the Student Experience Office's summer webinars page, as well as the Residence Life and Services website within the next few business days. So if there's any information in here that you would like to go back and check, that recording will be available for you in the next few business days on there. Let's see. So there's also a few questions about the residence fees. There's a question here that says, when are residence fees due and how do I pay? When will the residence fees appear on my Solus account?
So I'll take a stab at answering this. So residence fees, which include both your meal and room, are due on September 1. And so on September 1, you'll be paying half of your fees for the academic year. And then on January 10th, you'll pay the remainder of those fees. If you are receiving OSAP or OSAP assistance, you'll receive an automatic deferral for your fall term residence fees to October 1st, and then your winter fees will be due at the end of January, so on January 31st, 2026. And so there's some information on the student financial webpage if you need that. Our hope is to have residence fees posted on your Solus accounts shortly, and so we are in the process of running that billing, and so that should be coming in the next couple of days.
Thank you so much, Parm. All right, for our next question, someone wants to know, when do residence activities start and what will residence be like in the first couple of days after I move in?
Yeah, it's a great question. Orientation and moving in is like one of my favorite parts of residence. And so orientation will start right at 4 p.m. once our move-in window closes. And it'll start with your residence dawn on August 30th on the Saturday, where you'll be meeting your floor mates for the first time. And so the first floor meeting will be held. Some folks will be headed to their first community dinner. Others will be hosting their first floor meeting and then eating in the dining hall. And so that's a really great time to meet your first floor mates and share a meal together before heading off to our welcome home night, which is part of our first part of our programming. And then throughout, you'll be with your orientation leaders for the rest of those next couple of days. And so the first few days after move-in are still quite busy with orientation, making new friends, transitioning. And so I think something that I always keep in mind is taking care of yourself during that time and thinking of your own boundaries. There's a lot to go, a lot going on. And so you've got your dawn, you've got your orientation leader to talk to, and being able to feel that level of support. And so you can always take that moment. For yourself, but we also encourage you to take some steps out of your comfort zone to meet meet new people, learn new things. And so there's a lot of information on our orientation pages about your specific program, and if not, they're shortly about to be updated, and so you'll be able to learn through that. Your Residence Dawn will also be working through what we're calling our Uni 100 series, where you'll have a sequence of floor meetings and events throughout the week and some building programs to make sure that you're well acquainted with what residence life is like at Queen's, as well as other parts of the student experience.
Thank you so much, Parm, for that response and that wonderful advice. I completely agree. It's a big period of lots of exciting things. Orientation is a super exciting time, meeting so many people, and absolutely make sure to check out that page and see what resources are available to you to take advantage of. For our next question, there's been a few questions about parking on move-in day. So there's a question that says, where do we park our vehicle and is overnight parking available?
Yeah. So for parking on move-in day, we have worked with our parking services to designate certain parking lots for each of our zones. And so once you arrive to your building, you'll come to a stop. You'll be greeted by one of our staff who will provide you a parking pass. On the back of that parking pass will be a map to show you where to follow a route to get to your parking lot. It's also on your zone card, and so each of our zones has a designated parking lot. We really ask folks to respect that so we're able to make sure that the right cars get to the right places, and all of our parking lots are in really close proximity to campus and no more than 5 to 10 minute walk away. The parking pass that we give you is only a 3 hour parking pass, and so there isn't overnight parking that's available. And so please make sure that you put that parking pass on your dash so we know that you're authorized to be there. Once parked, leave your vehicle in that lot and be sure to remove it within 3 hours. There are restrictions in place for orientation for orientation for that weekend, and so there is no overnight parking that's available. So please make sure that you know, find a different area that isn't in one of those restricted areas. And so vehicles won't be able to park overnight in the parking lots. If you have a parking pass that you're getting, you will have to wait for commuter services to open up on the Tuesday to pick up that parking pass. And we really discourage folks from parking overnight on restricted streets because the city might tow your vehicle. And so please make sure if you are choosing to park that it is in a spot that you can.
Thank you so much, Parm. For our next question, someone wants to know, what do I do if I am not able to move in on August 30th? Can I move in earlier or later, or can I change my move-in time?
Yeah. So we are offering a move-in on the 29th, and so students have to register, and so you have up until August 25th to let us know if that's something that you'd like. We have a limited number of spots for folks, and there is a fee that applies, and that's available on our website. If you are not able to come on August 29th or the 30th, you are able to move in later. That's no problem. You just need to let us know and so if you don't move in on one of those days, we will email you to check in, but also you can let us know in advance. In the move-in time slot selection, you could actually indicate if you aren't able to meet it when you are, so we're able to anticipate when you're arriving. If you are late for move-in for whatever reason, say you encounter an accident on the highway or something delays you and you arrive later on Saturday, you still are able to check in. You will go to either the Victoria Hall front desk or the Jean Royce Hall front desk to get your keys rather than one of those locations. And so if you haven't checked in, we'll send you some information about what your next step should look like. Um, you should still go to the portal to indicate that you're arriving late. And so even if you are like, I know for sure I'm going to be arriving on September 1, you can fill out that information now, so we're able to do that. If you're looking to change your move-in time slot, you're able to do so up until the 25th if you're looking to move in on the Friday, and then all the way through to the 29th if you're moving in on the Saturday. We try to give you as much flexibility as possible, understanding that you still might be working through some travel arrangements.
Thank you so much, Parm. For our next question, I'm seeing a lot of questions about Wi-Fi in the residence room, so I want to make sure we address those. Someone wants to know, is there going to be Wi-Fi in my residence building, and do I need to bring an Ethernet cable and a router to use the Wi-Fi?
Yeah, so the answer here really depends on the building, and so encourage you to look at your building page. We've identified if your room would have Wi-Fi available, and so Wi-Fi is available in bedrooms in Brant, in the JDUC residence, Smith House, and down to today. But you still may wish to bring a router even if you're in those buildings. The routers there are part of the Queen's Use Secure network and they don't always allow for printers or other devices like a Google Home device. And so you still might want to bring a router if you're coming there. An Ethernet cable is also recommended just because the network performance is a lot better if you're directly plugged in. If you're not in one of those buildings that I mentioned, or your building page says that you need to bring a router, you can connect that using an Ethernet cord, and our IT team will be present on the Saturday for router support as well as on Sunday. And so if you have any questions or encounter any issues, someone will be able to help you out there as well.
Thank you so much, Parm. For our next question, let's take a look here. All right, a student wants to know, are laundry services available in all residence buildings? And what type of laundry detergent should I use, as well as how much does a load cost?
It's a great question. I know the first time I moved into residence, doing my laundry was actually probably one of the scariest things for the first time. And so um, definitely recommend something that's easy for you to carry around. So you might want to just use a small container of high efficiency laundry or one of the laundry pods. They're really easy. They're pre-measured. You really can't mess up. So would encourage that. All of our machines are front load, high efficiency machines. So they are quite easy to use and pretty easy for folks to be able to load and take things out. We use a service called Coinomatic. And so there is an app to download to pay for your laundry service. And that's our laundry machine provider. And so if there's any issues with any of the machines or you're having issues, reach out to Coinomatic directly and you can report that all in the app. A full load of laundry costs roughly around $4.50, with the wash being 225 and the dry being 225. And so that's roughly about what a load of laundry costs. There are sometimes if you're doing a longer load or a heavier, amount of laundry that there is a smaller charge that goes up there. But for the most part, a load of laundry costs about 450 altogether.
Amazing. Thank you so much for that response. I can also personally vouch that that Coinomatic app is very intuitive and easy to use. That's what I've been using, and it's really easy to set up. It shouldn't be difficult at all. All right, next question. Can my family and friends help me move in? And can they stay in my room overnight?
Yeah. Encourage folks to bring a friend or a family member to help move in. It's really something that helps you unload, helps you set up, and get things done. And so that's really a key thing. So if you've got some folks that are willing to move you in, bring them along. We do have a no guest policy in place during orientation week. And so family members will need to make alternative arrangements if they need to stay overnight. There are many hotels that are close by, and so they are listed on our website, as well as the university's Donald Gordon Center, which is on Union Street, and it's pretty close to campus. They might actually be sold out right now, and so I'd encourage folks if you are looking to stay overnight in Kingston, either before or after, to make those arrangements. There are many hotels that are close to campus and easily accessible through down accessible to downtown.
Thank you so much. And speaking of the move-in process, someone wants to know, can I bring a trailer or extra vehicles? How much is too much?
Yeah, it's a great question. We provide a lot in the rooms to make sure that move in as smooth as possible, as well as, we try to provide some services to help. So, a fridge, for example, takes up a lot of space in your car, and so if that's not something you want taking up space, you might want to consider doing a fridge rental. Linen, for example, you might want to purchase through our campus linen provider, so that linen is here on campus when you arrive. But we really discourage folks from not bringing a trailer or extra vehicles. We only provide one parking pass per student. And then if you bring an oversized vehicle, they typically don't fit in a normal sized parking spot. And so we ask you to move them to its designated lot for oversized vehicles. And so we really do discourage that. Also want folks to consider there isn't a lot of space typically for large items in your room. And so you might want to consider, if there are clothing items that you want to bring that are seasonal, you might want to consider bringing them at a different point in the fall term. For example, reading week is a great time to take your summer clothes from campus back home and swap them for your winter or your fall clothes that are a little bit thicker that you don't need right now.
Thank you so much for that information. And it looks like we're getting close to the end of our webinar time slot, so we only have time for one last Q&A question. And I think we can answer this one because it's a nice and upbeat one to end the webinar on. What is your favorite part about Move-In Day?
Yeah. Move-in Day is a really special day on our campus. And so for me, I think my favorite part really is seeing, folks beginning their journey. Before this point, many of our buildings have sat empty for several weeks. And during that day, they start to fill up with this energy and this sense of excitement. And so, on an individual scale, like I think it's a really memorable day. It marks your start here at Queen's. I know it can be stressful, but it is it's a day that stays with you for a long time. I remember my first move in to university, and I think it's something that people hold really dear to their hearts. And so I think for me, how important that day is. For us, our staff, we're really excited to welcome you and be a part of that. And so I love seeing that energy come to campus. And campus really does feel like it comes to life that weekend and really sorts of kicks off the year. And so I think take some time to really soak in that day. I know I will, as much as I'll try to be like helping to unload cars, things like that, but I'll still try to have a smile, take some photos, and I think the energy really goes a long way to make this a positive experience for everyone. And so I think my favorite part about Move-In Day is honestly everyone coming to campus and that energy that comes alive.
Yeah, thank you so much, Carm, for that lovely response. And I can completely agree. I remember my move-in day, and it was exactly as you described. It was a very kind of special moment that you can really feel and remember. So I'm really excited for everyone on this webinar that gets to experience that. And thank you so much, everyone, for joining us tonight and for all of your questions. We do recognize that we were not able to get to everyone's question, so we encourage you to visit the residence website to look for the answer to your question or to contact them at the email reslife@queensu.ca to book an appointment or to get answers for any additional questions that you might have. So thank you so much again for all of your questions. And can I get the next slide, please? So before we wrap up, I just wanted to let everyone on here know about an upcoming webinar that's going to be just for parents, families, and supporters. The webinar is called Supporting Your First Year Student, Need to Know Info for Parents, Families, and Supporters, and it will be taking place on Thursday, August 21st at 7 p.m. Eastern Time on Zoom. So during this webinar, you're going to hear from the Vice Provost and the Dean of Student Affairs, along with some upper year students who are going to be sharing their tips and their experiences on how you as a parent or supporter can best support your student as they transition into their life at Queens. We're also going to cover how to stay connected to campus throughout the year. And of course, similar to this webinar, there's going to be a Q&A portion at the end where you can ask any questions you might have. So this webinar is open to all parents, families, and supporters. And if you can't make it live to the webinar, there will be a recording available afterward. You can register for it now on the Student Experience Office website, and I really hope to see everyone there. So thank you so much for our presenter Parm and our backend support staff for their time this evening. And thank you so much to everyone at home for attending. We really hope you have a great night tonight and that we'll see you at that webinar if you're a parent or supporter, or if not, that we'll see you at one of our other events and hopefully around on campus. Thank you so much. Have a great evening, everyone.